In today's video, a mysterious object falls from the sky. A farmer discovers something that makes his life a living nightmare. And men in black show up to ruin everyone's day. It was an ordinary day in the small town of Harrison, Montana. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone, life moves at a slow, predictable pace, and excitement usually comes in the form of a county fair or a football game. The skies were clear, the air crisp, and the morning routine unfolded like any other. But all of that changed in a single, extraordinary moment. At exactly 2:13 p.m., a blazing streak of light cut across the sky, leaving a thick, smoky trail behind it. Witnesses describe the sound as a mix between a thunderclap and an explosion, a deafening boom that echoed for miles, shaking windows and making the ground tremble as if the earth itself had flinched. Mark Sullivan, a local farmer, was tending to his crops when he saw it, a fiery object plummeting from the sky, trailing smoke and fire, disappearing over the hills with a violent impact that sent a shockwave across the landscape. Birds scattered, dogs barked frantically, and Mark felt an unexplainable chill despite the afternoon sun. His instincts kicked in. Grabbing his phone, he jumped into his old pickup truck and sped toward the source of the commotion, recording everything along the way. As he approached the site, dust and smoke filled the air, and a faint metallic smell mixed with the earthy scent of disturbed soil. When Mark arrived, his heart nearly stopped. In the center of a smoldering crater, there was an object, black, smooth, and metallic, partially embedded in the ground. Unlike what you'd expect from a fiery crash, there were no flames and no visible damage to the object itself. Instead, it emitted a faint, rhythmic hum, almost like a distant whisper that seemed to vibrate in the air, felt more than heard. The object was perfectly symmetrical, with no visible seams, bolts, or markings, nothing to suggest it was man-made. It reflected the sunlight strangely, giving off a faint iridescent glow. Within minutes, curious locals gathered around, drawn by the commotion. Theories flew around. Some said it was a satellite, others claimed it was a military drone, a few even joked nervously about aliens. But the laughter quickly died when something happened that none of them could explain. Luminous symbols began to appear on the object's surface, glowing faintly in hues of blue and green, shifting and morphing like liquid light. The crowd fell silent, their curiosity replaced by a growing sense of fear. People instinctively stepped back, unsure of what they were witnessing. Then, without warning, a thin line appeared, cutting across the smooth metal. Slowly, almost deliberately, it began to widen, revealing an opening. From within, a silvery mist poured out, rolling across the ground like liquid smoke. It carried a sharp, metallic scent, and as it spread, the air grew unnervingly cold. An eerie silence settled over the area. Birds stopped chirping, the wind died down, and even the distant sounds of traffic seemed to vanish. It was as if the world itself was holding its breath. Through the mist, something began to move inside the object. Shadows shifted, hints of motion just beyond the edge of visibility. The crowd watched in stunned silence, their fear rooted in the unknown. What was inside? Before anyone could find out, the distant sound of helicopters roared overhead, growing louder by the second. Moments later, a convoy of unmarked black SUVs and military-style trucks appeared, kicking up clouds of dust as they sped toward the site. The vehicles had no license plates, and the men who emerged from them were dressed in black tactical gear, their faces obscured by dark visors. They carried equipment that didn't look standard issue. Advanced scanners, strange devices that hummed with energy. Without explanation, the men quickly established a perimeter, forcing the crowd back with an authority that left no room for argument. Some locals tried to protest, but they were met with cold stares and silent intimidation. The men communicated with each other through earpieces, moving with military precision. Mark, realizing what was happening, hid behind his truck, still recording. His heart raced, but his curiosity was stronger than his fear. The men approached the object cautiously, scanning it with handheld devices that emitted soft beeping sounds. Whatever they saw seemed to confirm something, because they immediately covered the object with a dark tarp and began preparing it for transport. The entire operation was swift and methodical, as if they had done this many times before. The crowd was evacuated, phones were confiscated, anyone who resisted was taken aside and not seen again that day. But Mark was lucky, or smart. He'd hidden his phone just in time. That night, alone in his small house, Mark watched the footage he had captured. His hands trembled as he replayed the events. The glowing symbols, the silvery mist, the men in black. But as he rewound the video, he noticed something he hadn't seen before. A figure. Just before the object was covered, as the mist thinned, there was a brief, almost imperceptible glimpse of something inside. A shadowy form, tall and thin, with elongated limbs and movements that seemed unnatural, fluid, but not human. Mark paused the video, his breath catching in his throat. He zoomed in as much as he could. What he saw made his blood run cold. It wasn't human. Before he could process what he was seeing, his phone buzzed. It was a blocked number. He didn't answer. A minute later, the phone buzzed again, another blocked call. The next day, strange things started happening. His internet stopped working, his phone battery drained unnaturally fast even when fully charged. He noticed unmarked cars parked near his home and people in dark suits walking by slowly, as if just taking a stroll, but always glancing at his house. Then, late one night, there was a knock at the door. Mark hesitated before opening it, his heart pounding. When he finally did, no one was there, just a small envelope sitting on his doorstep. Inside was a simple note: delete the footage. But Mark didn't. Instead, he made multiple copies, sending them to friends and storing them online. But within days, every copy was mysteriously wiped, gone without a trace. His friends claimed they never received the files. Some even reported strange occurrences themselves. And then Mark disappeared. His house was found empty. No signs of struggle, no explanation. His truck was still in the driveway, his phone left on the kitchen table. The only thing missing was him. But the footage survived. What was inside that object? Was it an extraterrestrial life form, a secret government experiment, or something even more terrifying? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to uncover more real-life mysteries, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because sometimes the truth is too big to be hidden.